What is up, YouTube? I'm Devon, DaVinci, leader of the Renaissance crew, and you're watching DaVinci Reacts. Today, we're going to be getting into an event that I have been very curious about for a very long time. There are a lot of Irish people that are subscribed to me, and of course, I do a lot of videos related to UK and things like that, but I don't really do a lot of Irish. So let's go ahead and jump into that. This is the Irish potato famine. It says the Isle of Blight. I'm not really sure what. I don't know if that's an actual isle or if that's like a subtitle for this video. So again, the reason why I do these videos is because I want to learn more. If you have any information, be sure to leave it in the comment section down below. And if I say anything that is wrong or ignorant or controversial, just know I don't know. I do not know. Like, I know, for example, that the UK and Ireland have had a very big would it be right to say rivalry, or is it different than that? And I know that there's still a little bit of heated, a little bit of a heated relationship going on even today. I mean, it's cooled off obviously since like a few decades ago, but it seems like it's starting to get better as far as the relationship. And I don't want too much hostility in the comment section, if it even is. Again, I could be saying something stupid. It's like, bro, we got done fighting like years ago. But I would like to hear what you have to say about this event, and if you can elaborate on it deeper as to like just the magnitude of it, because I know that America had a really big Irish immigrant increase during the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s. And I've heard some people say that the reason why it jumped up that high was because of this. Now, I don't know exactly how long the famine lasted or anything like that, because I always imagined it was like the early 1800s. But again, I don't know. But let's jump into this, see what it has to offer. This video was made by Extra Credit. If you would like to see more of their content, I will have a link for the original video in the description box down below. And I will have a link for their channel at the end of this video. It'll pop up as an icon over here. Click on it. It'll take you to their channel. You can subscribe, like, watch their videos, all the other good stuff. And if you haven't seen this video, I highly encourage you to go watch the original before you watch reactions. That's the only way that the original content creator can get a view off of this. So if you want to show them some support, the best way you can do it is to watch their videos. Now, with that being said, let's jump into this and see what it has to offer.
The first thing the farmer notices is the smell. An earthy rot in the fields. The Irishman walks into his potato field to find the plants turning brown and wilting. He digs up a tuber and finds it slimy like a bar of soap. When he slices it open, brown mucus oozes out.
Yeah.
The whole crop is the same. It'll be a hungry year, but he will survive. Because this isn't Ireland in the famine year of 1845. It's the United States 2 years earlier. And this man has no idea how this blight will devastate the country of his birth.
So it was the United States that were responsible for. Oh man, oh, I'm sorry. Damn. So it was, what are you telling me? It's the United States that was the reason behind the potato famine? Oh shit. Oh damn. Oh man. See, as somebody that didn't know a lot about the potato famine, I thought that it was something to do with like the UK and Ireland, and maybe that's why Ireland had a problem with the UK. Well, I know it goes even further back than that, but I thought that was just another one of the reasons why the UK and Ireland had such a problem with each other, was because I thought they were the reason behind the famine. But oh man, I feel bad now. Like, if you guys ever seen South Park, you've seen an episode where the Japanese were real mad at like dolphins and whales because the United States gave them a photo and said that this was the reason before the nuclear attacks. It was a picture of a dolphin and a whale inside the Enola Gay. I feel like I accidentally just lifted the veil on something. Like, the United States gave Ireland a picture of the UK, like, this is the reason. It's like, the UK? The UK? Now it's like, the truth is out. Oh, damn. I'm sorry. I like I said, I didn't know anything about this event. The Irish about to fuck us up. Oh,
the
man.
Irish potato famine ranks as one of Europe's worst agricultural disasters. An event so momentous that it not only defined a generation, it scattered a people to the winds. When the Blight arrived in 1845, Ireland had a population of 8.2 million. Within a decade, though, a third of it was gone. Around 1.1 million died from starvation and disease, while 2 million immigrated abroad. Actually, you know what? Strike that. Immigration isn't the right word. It was flight. Plain and simple. An evacuation. During the height of the famine years, when children's mouths were stained green from eating grass and dogs scavenged graveyards, people brawled on the docks for space aboard the overcrowded vessels. Most didn't even care where the ship was headed, as long as it wasn't Ireland. Yet Ireland was not the only country, or even the first, to experience the Blight. The fungus responsible emerged in the United States in 1843, hitching a ride to Europe in cargo holds. Farmers attempting to strengthen European potato strains may have even accidentally imported it when they crossbred their potatoes with American stock. And strengthened by a rainy summer and carried by the wind, the fungus stormed the continent. During the summer of 1845, news of the Blight filled European newspapers. Belgium had lost 87% of its potato crop. Flanders, 92%.
Ooh,
Holland lost 70%. Germany and France got off relatively light, only losing a fifth of their harvest. Rumors of starvation leaked out of Russia and Poland, while English farmers saw similar devastation. Governments prepared for a season of hunger and instability. The potato, after all, was the staple diet of Europe's emerging industrial working class. This miracle plant, imported from Peru, could produce 2 to 4 times more calories per acre than grain. Cheap and easy to prepare, it allowed Europe's shrinking agricultural sector to feed its booming manufacturing workforce. And between 1750 and 1850, the European population nearly doubled, partially due to the potato. Any threat to the potato crop was a serious problem. In fact, these crop failures would help spur the wave of revolutions that racked Europe in 1848.
This is kind of off topic, but you know something I noticed about this video? The illustration quality is really good. Now, I don't know if it's because, even though I think this is an older video compared to the Suleiman one I reacted to. I could be wrong. I got to pay attention to what dates they were uploaded. But if it is older than Suleiman, even though the drawings look better, I would imagine it's because the Suleiman was an animation, whereas this is just more like a slideshow.
But here the story of Ireland diverges, because while all these countries experienced economic hardship and social change, Ireland alone starved. The reasons for that are complicated,
Then
but
again,
they
there's
boil
somebody
down
else
to
narrating,
2
so
factors.
maybe they got staff.
The first
That means
was
it
a
must be
land
bigger,
system that made
thus
Ireland
this is
uniquely
newer.
vulnerable to a crop failure. And the second factor was human. A group of British leaders governing from London who saw the famine relief as a vehicle for reforming the Irish economy and instructing the people's moral character. Throughout the crisis, British policymakers would make economic reform their primary objective, with saving lives as a distant secondary goal. The Blight indeed was, as British politicians argued, an act of God, unstoppable and inevitable. The famine, by contrast, was the work of men. But that was still to come. In the summer of 1845, British Prime Minister Sir Robert Peel was tracking reports of blight. He worried about it striking England, of course, but he knew that if it took hold in Ireland, the result would be catastrophic. Technically, Ireland had been a part of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland since 1801, but in a practical sense, it had been the very first step in the British colonial empire. The English had ruled it directly or indirectly for centuries. In that time, the British Crown had gradually dispossessed native Irish Catholic families, confiscating their land and gifting it to English and Scots Protestants who were considered more reliably loyal, while Catholic countries sponsored a series of Irish revolts against the Protestant English.
So let me get this straight. Does the whole thing between Ireland and UK stem from religious differences? Maybe because one was like more Protestant and the other one was Catholic, and that's the reason behind it? You mean to tell me religion is the reason behind? I'm not mad at the people. I'm mad at religion. Because I've noticed a pattern with this. Like, it seems like religion seems to be behind a lot of differences around the world. And I'm just thinking, what would life be like if there was no difference as far as religion. If religion wasn't a factor, what would the relationship between Ireland and the UK be? Now, it could be a lot more than that. I mean, like they said, it's the UK was colonizing a lot of stuff, and Ireland was like one of the first things they colonized, pretty much. So there was more to it than just the religion. Chances are they would still try to colonize things. If there's a difference between one type of people and another type of people, they're going to treat it like a us versus them thing. So they probably would have still tried to colonize them, even if there was no religion. I'm just wondering, though, like, what their relationship would be like. Maybe Alternative History Hub needs to do a video about what would the world be like if religion didn't exist. That'd be a big what if, though.
And tensions grew. The climax came when Oliver Cromwell reconquered Ireland after a rebellion, completing the process of land confiscation and totally replacing Irish landowners with English and Scots, the so-called Anglo-Irish. And it was bloody. Conservative estimates suggest that Cromwell's invasion, along with the famine it caused, may have killed 10% of the Irish population. To prevent another uprising, Cromwell and later British governments passed a series of penal laws restricting Catholic rights. Catholics could not hold public office, own firearms, or be admitted to the bar as lawyers. They couldn't own a horse worth over £5, vote, teach school, or marry a Protestant. There were restrictions on how they could own land, and when willing land to children, they couldn't give it intact to the eldest, and had to break it up equally among all their children. Churches couldn't be built of stone, and had to sit far from roads, and they couldn't attend university.
That just seemed petty. That just seems petty as hell, and your churches can't be made of stone. Why the hell not? Like, that just seems wrong.
Couldn't be built of stone, and had to sit far from roads, and they couldn't attend universities at home or abroad, and 80% of the Irish population was Catholic. These laws were designed to bar Irish Catholics from all forms of political and economic advancement, and while they were gradually repealed, the last vanishing in 1829, it would take generations for the Irish to recover economically. And on top of that, these landlords charged astronomical rent on the land, barely allowing the native Irish farmers to survive. And the whole thing took place in a system of middlemen so convoluted that, okay, here's an analogy. Imagine someone owns an apartment building today. That's the landowner. They don't want to manage it, so they pass it off to a middle person to manage. Now the middle person wants to make a profit and knows there's a lot of demand, so they jack up the rent. And to make more profits, they subdivide some of the larger apartments into smaller ones. Now, under the pressure of making this exorbitant rent, some of the building's tenants start to get roommates or rent some of their bedrooms on Airbnb, further subdividing their own apartment. Wow, this sounds really familiar. Oh, hi NYC, I didn't see you in this analogy. Anyway, that's basically what happened to Irish farmers. In fact, some of the landowners, known as absentee landlords, hadn't even lived in Ireland for generations. The trend was bad. Then events made it worse. During the Napoleonic Wars, Irish goods suddenly became a major part of British imports, as the war cut off suppliers in France. Things improved for the Irish, with many turning to new manufacturing jobs. But then, Napoleon was defeated. French goods returned, and the burgeoning industrial sector collapsed. Out-of-work weavers and tradesmen flooded the countryside, engaging in ludicrous bidding wars for small plots of farmland, promising to pay rents the land could never sustain. Irish farmers began cultivating land that had never been farmed before. Rocky hillsides, beaches,
like sharecropping.
and bogs. The land, subdivided already through the inheritance laws and the greed of landowners, got subdivided further. And middlemen for those landlords, increasingly disappointed with returns from potato farmers, evicted whole villages to use the land for cattle raising, which squeezed the farmers even further. By 1841, 45% of all agricultural holdings were under 5 acres, a consequence of population explosion paired with a land system that depended on chains of landlords, often 3 or 4 deep, leading back to England. Only one thing allowed people to survive. You guessed it, the potato. A single acre of potato plants could produce 6 tons of crop per year, enough to feed a family of 6. No other crop provided such a yield. But many Irish families were larger than that, and the rent still had to be paid. In the decades leading up to the famine, the shrinking plots of land gave most no more than a subsistence living. Ireland was already the poorest country in Europe. Before the subdivision, most families at least had a cow. But in the decades before the famine, the more expensive cow disappeared, replaced by a pig. Milk, butter, eggs, and herring disappeared from the peasants' diets. Cash crops like barley and oats vanished, replaced by more potatoes. Visitors were shocked at the depth of Irish poverty. The majority of the country went shoeless, and many in the countryside wore literal rags. In towns, landless workers lived by the pawn shop, pawning their Sunday clothes after attending church, buying them back on Friday payday, wearing them to church again, and then repeating the cycle. But those same visitors were often astounded by the peasants' hardiness. Irish peasants were strong and often good-looking. Scientific testing, so popular in the Victorian age, found that the average Irish peasant was both taller and stronger than both English and Belgian ones. And it was...
That's interesting, because normally when it comes to like people in poverty, you can't afford nutritious foods, and thus you tend to be smaller and weaker, kind of like with South Korea and North Korea. But I'm guessing it's all because of the potato.
Irish peasant was both taller and stronger than both English and Belgian ones, and it was due to their diet, eating nutritious, vitamin-filled potatoes 3 meals a day. But in August of 1845, Irish farmers walked into their fields and smelled rot. The Blight was in Ireland, but London had a plan to use this crisis to remake Ireland, a plan that would bring down Prime Minister Peel.
Yeah, obviously, I'm going to go more into it. This is part 1. I'm guessing there's a part 2 in here. Yes, there is. So I will continue with this series to learn more about this. Now, again, obviously, I'm not like one of the type of people that want to take sides on this. For me, it's always been the same thing. If somebody does wrong, acknowledge that you've done wrong. I'm not like, well, first of all, it's not my position to say anyway, because I'm not Irish. I'm not someone that's from Ireland, so I can't sit there and say how someone should act or how someone should take something or whatever else. Well, as far as people from the UK, like if something were to have gone wrong, acknowledge that it went wrong, accept that that happened. Now, I don't think people nowadays should be able to, like, I don't know if the full burden should be on them, but just acknowledge that there was some shit that went down and accept, like, okay, well, you know, I was somebody that may have benefited from a system that hurt you in the long run. I understand that, and let's try to fix it. Same thing in America, like with black people, white people, things like that. There's this really big civil discourse going on right now, and it's like, I don't hold white people for the stuff that happened in the past. I just hope that you would understand that not only did it happen, but there are systems in place today that need to be fixed because they're products of those old systems, and they haven't changed, so we do need reforms. When people pretend like there's nothing wrong with it and you're just crazy, you just gotta accept that, that's what irritates the hell out of me. So if something like that is happening in the UK, then I think that would be wrong. But again, it goes with everything. And anybody looking at me like, oh, well, you know, your people did wrong too. You're goddamn right, my people did wrong. And I understand that what they did was wrong. I accept that. And not only do I try my best to make sure that I don't take any type of part in carrying that stuff out, but, you know, I try to learn as much as I can about it and try to do better for the next generation too. Like there's, like black people right now, we are hurting. We have, I would honestly call this the dark ages for black people. We have a lot of different influences in our culture that really set us back, I think. Like really set us back. And it's almost like it's we're glorifying all the wrong things now. Like all the stuff that we fought for in the civil rights movement and things like that, when it comes to voting, when it comes to schooling, when it comes to busing, when it comes to all that, nowadays it's considered cool to be against that in the black community. Like you have people that will make fun of somebody who goes to school and get good grades. You have people that will make fun of people that sit on the front of the bus. You have people that will make fun of somebody that's like serious and enthusiastic about voting. It's like we're in this situation where we're just stuck, and I think that we really need to try to do better with that. Now, there's also the whole gang culture thing, and you have people that, in some cases I understand it because depending on the neighborhood you're from, you kind of have to join a gang. Otherwise, you'll get picked on, bullied, beaten up, possibly killed, so you need somebody to watch you back. That makes sense. But what I never got is, why is it some gangs feel the need to terrorize their communities? Like, it's like we had these racist white supremacist groups that used to go around keeping the black population in check. Like they would intimidate black people from voting and making better of themselves and things like that. But now we have black gangs in our communities that do the exact same thing. Like if you try to do better for yourself, or if you get a good job, you try to get out of the hood, things like that, there are these black gangs and stuff in communities that will go out of their way to try to keep you down. And I don't understand why that's a thing. Like, why are you trying to fight to keep yourself, or trying to keep your people down? That makes no sense. But yeah, that just goes into what I was just saying. Like, I understand my people's done wrong. As I just described, I understand what the wrong things we've done is, and try to spread awareness and make the next generation better. Again, if you're somebody from the UK, obviously the burden isn't on you. Like, I'm not somebody that's in a gang. I'm not somebody that laughs or condemns people that try to do better for themselves. But I do know that there are people in my community that do. And so I try to teach the next generation, like, this is what you don't want to be doing. If I have a chance to talk to somebody that does that, I'll let my opinion be known. Like, this is what you shouldn't be trying to do. And I know it sounds like preaching and everything else, but I think at some point we just have to sit down and try to do better. And I don't want to sound like I'm being preachy to people from the UK or anything either, because like I said, I know the people that are here today aren't the same people that did, or for the most part, aren't the same people that implemented those policies against the Irish, or the people that try to look down on them or try to hurt them in ways that prevent their country from being better, things like that. I understand that. But in order to fix everything, we have to be willing to accept, like, okay, our people did wrong. We need to find a way to do right. And even though you weren't somebody that was a part of it, you should still make it your effort. You should still make it your part to try to do better. Don't just think like, oh, well, it happened in the past, so it's in the past, and that's it. I'm not going to do anything because I wasn't part of it, and that's it. No, you should always try to do better. Even if you weren't one of the people that were doing wrong, still try to do right. Like, I would still try to help my community when it comes to the effects of gang violence and things like that. I wasn't part of gangs or anything like that, but it still helps the community. I would still try to help black people get registered to vote and try to educate them on actually like how to understand and study proper candidates, and instead of just focusing on party loyalty. Like, that is something that I would like to do, even though I'm not one of the people that are trying to disenfranchise black people. I would still try to do my part to make them better. It shouldn't be about, well, it doesn't affect me, so therefore I'm not going to worry about it. No, you should always try to do better for everyone else. And that goes for Irish people too. If there was any Irish situations where somebody did wrong, then you should acknowledge, okay, that was wrong. Period. We should try to do better. I know I'm sounding very preachy, especially for somebody that don't know a lot about these events. I've already admitted that I don't know a lot. Go in the comment section and enlighten me on anything that I might have gotten wrong, and you know, things like that. And before anybody says anything like, "Well, you don't understand. The reason why this happened was because," it doesn't matter. If someone did wrong, they should acknowledge that they did wrong. The people that started it should acknowledge that what they did was wrong, and the people that reacted, but reacted in a way that you would still understand is like, okay, that was still bad, even though we were, answering back, it was still bad. Still admit that it's wrong and try to do better, like both sides. Um, that's pretty much it. I'm Devon DaVinci. I hope you've been enlightened. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share. If you want to enlighten me, go in the comment section. Let me know what you have to say about it. I know this is going to be a very interesting video, because I'm not a huge, I don't have a huge knowledge when it comes to world history and world affairs. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about it. But I do know that Ireland and the UK have some serious beef going on. I don't know if it's still going on, but I know they had serious beef for a very long time. Longer than the United States was even a country. They've had beef. So it's not really my place to say what is right and what is wrong. I just know certain things are right and are wrong. I can't get into the context of a lot of stuff, but I do know that certain things that happen are wrong. Period. And regardless of the context around it, you should admit that at least that part was wrong. But anyway, I'm going to give you the deuces. I look forward to seeing what you got to say in the comment section. I really mean that, though. Go in the comment section and really let me know about it. Until then, I will see you guys tomorrow. I probably won't have a lot of videos out today, but just know I will be coming back with more. There's a lot of gaming videos and stuff that's come out. A lot of movie trailers that's come out. And I want to try to react to as many of them as I can, but I can't really do it today because I'm very busy. Matter of fact, after this camera shuts off, I'm going to have to go out and run some errands immediately. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Deuces.